Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about a really cool Star Wars Armada list. I've talked a little bit about this style of list before. It involves Nebulon Bees. I want to talk a little bit about the thought behind it and go over what I think might be maybe a new twist on the local meta. And it's another Akbar Nebulons list, but I'm gonna be looking at this. Maybe you're newer here to the channel, haven't heard me talk about it before. Maybe you are a veteran to the channel. I want to talk about why I'm revisiting this list because I think it might be a really good time to start playing more Nebulons. First off, they're a great and iconic ship. You probably have multiple of them in your collection, and your opponent will never see this coming. So hopefully, sit down, buckle your seatbelts. If you're watching this while driving, actually stop, pull over, like save this, like get to where you're going, relax, sit down, watch when you can focus, But we're going to talk about the Nebulon B Masterclass of Akbar Nebulons for 2023. I think this is a beautiful list, really. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And with all that being said, we're going to dive into this list. So why are we doing Akbar Nebulons? First off, the Nebulons are fairly cheap. They're super iconic, so they're pretty. And I think an important part of building an Armada list is, building ships that are recognizable and that look cool. And, and there's as good of a ship as it is, you hardly ever see Nebulons on the board. Sometimes you'll see, a Yavaris pushing some squads or whatever, but Nebulons are just great. They're one of the most iconic Star Wars capital ships that there are. So they definitely deserve to be played more. Now, Nebulons have come a long way, and one of the cores for this build is going to be, we're going to be using Nebulon B support refits. Basically the cheaper of the option at 51 points as opposed to the escort frigate. I'm not going to run any escort frigates in this build because I'm not going to run any squadrons in this build. It's going to be an all-ship build. We're going to go for high activation count because you can do that. You have a lot of red dice. I definitely love the Architans for the Empire. Hopefully the Republic gets them too. Like having triple red dice. Nebulons have always suffered because their sides are weak. They only have one shield on the sides. They only have, one red die on the sides. Well, they also have a blue die also, but a lot of times you're not close enough to do that. But their strengths are that they have 5 hull for a small ship, which is a cheap small ship at 51 points. So 5 hull's good. 3 shields on the front, 3 red dice on the front. So the front is great, but that front is very, very narrow, right? It's a very, very narrow arc. So you're going to have a hard time trying to really build this out. So the sides have always been the weakest part, and why I like to run Admiral Akbar with these guys from time to time is, well, yes, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have, like a massive, like assault frigates are great with Akbar, and sure. But now you turn their biggest weakness into their biggest strength, because now they'll have potentially 4 dice on the side instead of just 3 in the front. So that is a good thing. And they can often survive. Another great thing about Nebulons is they have great maneuverability. Speed 2 is a common speed in the game. You get clicks and clicks. A nav dial is always useful for them because they always can benefit from an extra yaw. But they really do very well at speeds 2 and at speed 3, as a matter of fact. They have a lot of positioning power, especially for a ship that normally by default wants to just be pointed straight at the enemy. And they can certainly work when they're straight at the enemy. Although they're pretty easy to double arc, which means you wouldn't be Akbaring, but you definitely can do all of these things. So one of the things that has happened to these guys to make them better is the including of the auxiliary shields team. Now here is when you do an engineering command, you can increase the side shields by 1 more than their maximum value. So now all of a sudden you can boost your side shields up to 2. Now, this completely changes the way that we look at Nebulons. Having 2 shields on the side makes them 3, 2, 2, 2. Well, now they have the same shields that Architans have, actually 1 more. All right, they're much more survivable now. And the fact that they have 2 braces is another huge strength. For a ship that's now got 5 hull and 2 shields at least everywhere, 3 on the front, as a matter of fact, they have a tremendous amount of survivability. Now, they don't have redirect natively. There is a way to get that, and we'll talk about that. Also like to run enhanced armament on these guys. Look, they're probably one of the best ships in the game for enhanced armament. The reason I say that is they have the widest side arc out of any ship in the game. So, of course, enhanced armament is going to work extremely well on these guys. They're always going to get that extra die. It's huge. It also is extremely important on these guys because there's a whole lot of times where you wouldn't get a shot at all. And that is huge because this enables you to actually get that shot. So that's a big deal. Now, with that being said, this is kind of like the backbone for a couple of these ships that I'm going to run in this list. So I'm going to copy this 3 times. I'll copy it 4 times because I'm going to run 4 Nebulons in here, but one of them is not going to have enhanced armament. So let's do that first. Let's do the one that's not going to have enhanced armament because this is going to be a special one. This is going to be the support one that makes everything else work. I'm going to run the Redemption title on this one. Redemption, amazing title. When a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 results in engineering command, it gains an additional engineering point. This is so important for this build because this allows all of your Nebulons to effectively get 4 engineering points. So the first turn again they have 3 normally. First turn of the game, you have all of them, provided you deploy them all close enough together. You have them all engineer, and then each one of them gets to bump both sides up. You can do the same thing with auxiliary shields team. You can do it without redemption, but then you have to you have 3 points, so you can raise 1, and you have to pull 1 from the back to the other side. So then you're not at max shields. So redemption allows your whole fleet to start off with 2 extra shields that they wouldn't have had otherwise. This is huge. I've been running this list lately. This is a absolute game changer. This is a life-saving tactic. Redemption is just a huge ship to add for this. He's a little bit of an expensive title, 8-point cost for this title, but what he's giving you is 4 ships each with 2 additional shields, and trust me, they're gonna get used. They're going to get used. You're getting 8 extra shields on the first turn of the game for 8 points. That's a huge value. And then it also means that any other additional engineering you do throughout the game is going to give you 1 more. Even tokens are going to give you more. By the way, tokens, we're going to have tokens. We're going to add 2 more ships to this too. We're going to add a GR75 combat refit. I'm adding a combat refit this time because I want to be able to attack. The combat refit is going to do a couple of things. We're going to give it Bright Hope, and we're also going to give it the CommsNet to hand out other tokens. This is useful for a number of different things. For only 3 points, we could do something a little better than CommsNet, but I'm going with CommsNet. I want to be able to give people Concentrate Fire tokens, I want to be able to give people Nav tokens, and I want to be able to give people Engineering tokens, and every situation is going to be a little different, and this is 1 point cheaper, and it just kind of works. But GR75 there is there to do an extra little bit of shooting. I'm going to have 6 ships in this build. I want them all to be shooting. And the GR75 too, it's going to factor in when we get into our objectives. But like opening salvo, for example, works really well with the GR75, and he can throw out a ton of dice, which people don't expect. A lot of people will ignore a flotilla, and all of a sudden, boom! Here's a guy throwing out a blue and 2 black, and then another black with Concentrate Fire. At medium range, it's just insanity. So the GR75, super good for that, and it's worth it in this particular case. Okay, so we're looking at Redemption. Redemption is going to not have enhanced armament, but Redemption is going to have Ezra Bridger. This is going to factor into Ezra is going to factor into the objectives and moving things around. I definitely don't want my Nebulons landing on asteroids, and it's just an extra weapon that I can put them in front of other ships and do a lot. Also, it allows for me to have some really clever use of the other objectives I'm going to use. Besides opening salvo, I can go with some of the rift-based objectives, have that gravity rift, move that into somebody's face, and really mess up their day. It's a beautiful world when Ezra gets to do his thing. Plus, he's fun, and fun goes a long way in this game. Okay, so we do have 2 regular Nebulons that are just going to have enhanced armament and auxiliary shields team. Our third one is going to be our biggest heavy hitter. It is going to all have also all of those things. We're going to give this guy the Vanguard title. Sometimes I like to run with Salvation also. Very cool option. I do like Salvation. It's just not going into this list. Vanguard is going to give us the ability to have a redirect. Definitely want to think about redirect. XI7 is very, very common these days. If you're going up against a heavy XI7 list, you may not want to opt to get the redirect. You might prefer the evade and double brace, considering evade is a lot better now than it ever used to be. This is another thing that makes Nebulons better. They've been getting better and better all the time, just passively. And I think that that's really cool. So when we also add Vanguard, we're going to add a weapons team. And we're going to add gunnery team. Now here's a ship that can side arc. We got a red, a blue. We can Akbar, 2 more, concentrate fire. Boom, 5 dice out the side, and then boom, and then another 4 dice out the side. It's just really, really powerful stuff. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Maybe even more than that if they're at medium range, right? You get that red and the blue, and then enhanced armament, and then concentrate fire, and then 2 more from Akbar. It's just really a lot of dice out of the side arc. It's beautiful. And the cool thing about this is, too, you really want these ships to kind of go straight at an enemy ship, especially an enemy large ship, and find a place that you can... The golden recipe here is to be able to have my left side has a shot on the target, but I'm so close that my right side also has a shot on the target, or vice versa. And this way you Akbar, you get 4 extra dice this activation. Or the second best situation is like, okay, well, I have 1 shot on this guy and 1 shot on this guy, and still I get 4 extra dice. Sometimes you're going to have to do a front shot and a side shot. So that's slightly less dice, but it's still good. So even if you don't Akbar, these are still going to be really good, but he gives you so many great options, especially when you only have the 1 side shot. It's really good. And so I wish Akbar were a little cheaper for this list, so that I could fit a few more things in, but unfortunately it's not. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, we do need some dice mitigation because red dice are not always our friends. I did go back and forth a lot on putting Home 1 into this list. I decided against it. We decided to go with the Pelta. Pelta Assault Ship is definitely the flagship of choice for a list like this. We're going to go ahead and put Admiral Akbar on there right away. And we have just a little bit more that we're going to add. I'm going to add Intensify Firepower. It means that here's a ship that's going to be doing... concentrate fire pretty much every turn and taking a token and spending it each subsequent turn for intensify firepower. This is excellent use on the Nebulons, which are always going to be shooting, well, almost always going to be shooting twice, which is really, really good. And I mean, intensify firepower, I don't have to sell you on it. Everybody knows this is a great card. It's exceptionally good. I'm also going to add Lando Calrissian to this ship because it is my flagship. I do want to protect Akbar, even though I'll probably fly him in the back. I see this as a whole fleet that's going to be flying mostly speed 2, mostly together, and kind of flying in formation. This way we get so many dice throwing on the opponent that it's going to do really well. I also see this as a fleet that can do really well against Anakin Skywalker on the Republic because there's so many over and over these rounds of incoming fire. If you can bring all your guns to bear on the same target, or at least most of them, you're going to bring down a lot, even the biggest, toughest ships, fairly quickly. And yes, you run the risk of getting that nasty salvo in return, but that salvo isn't enough to kill a Nebulon B outright, especially with the enhanced evade and the enhanced shields from Auxiliary Shields team, plus possible extra shield tokens. Or extra engineering tokens that your GR75 Bright Hope with CommsNet is handing out. You can definitely stay alive a lot longer than you normally would have before. But not only that, I mean, plus your double brace, too. It's pretty tough. You need like 3 accuracies to really, to punch through these things. Most people, and if you have that many accuracies, it means you don't have that much damage left over. So, very cool stuff. And they're so effective even at long range. That you're also reducing the number of incoming dice that are coming your way, which is also really exciting. This is 400 points. Let's look at our objectives because this is important. For assault, we're going to go with opening salvo, 2 extra dice of your choice when you're attacking for the first time you attack, for your first attack. Your opponent gets 2 red dice also, but then again, you're more defensible at long range. So, move in maybe a little slower, make sure that they're taking long-range shots on you. You're able to kind of evade any of the doubles that happen to come in, and then punish them with black dice at long range. Very nasty stuff. For our yellow, we're going to go with the we want the Rift Ambush, because we want that Gravity Rift. We want to take advantage of Ezra. If somebody chooses, like, I definitely want opening salvo here, but if somebody chooses any of the other stuff, I'm gonna have the Rift there for Rift Ambush. I'm gonna do Doomed Station, so we have the Rift for that one as well. Both of those have a Gravity Rift. Both of those will involve us kind of flying semi close to the middle and having Ezra move that Gravity Rift, put it in my opponent's path, and if I can get them at speed 0, it's game over. So, so this is just a really, really fun list to play. Lots and lots of firepower. Anakin's going to run out of salvos before I run out of dice. I think your big weakness here is Sloane is going to have a problem, but this is a list that's not totally dependent on tokens. It's not totally dependent on defense tokens. I've got lots of braces, so I can take a little bit of squadron fire. I'm way more counting on my shields and my hull to keep these things alive, and I don't expect them to live that long. But I'm hoping that I can take out the carriers with overwhelming layers and layers of firepower before the squadrons can do me in. That's the idea here, especially if I can fly them all close together. Once I get the shot, I'll have probably everybody getting the shot. I can afford to throw Nebulon Bs in front of enemy ships so they can't outmaneuver me. They're kind of all disposable and all really strong. And that's the beauty of it. And I kind of keep the Pelta a little bit behind, so that if they do manage to kind of break through, I can then hopefully they'll be close enough that I can punish them with the black dice from the Pelta. And that is the list. We are doing a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway right now. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Make sure you enter to win that. And check the links in the description below if you want to check out any of the sponsors or any of the other great stuff that's going on, their social media links, our Discord, all of that cool stuff. You should definitely check all of that out. That is going to do it for this list, guys. Let me know what you think. This will be coming up very soon in a battle report. Where I ran this in a tournament recently. It's actually going to go live on Patreon first. So if you're patrons at the A-Wing level or higher, you get early access to that stuff. You can see how this list did. I think it's a super fun list. Love to hear some of your thoughts. And it's kind of like a joke list. And so maybe your opponent won't take it that seriously, and maybe you can punish them for that. Either way, it's really cool to change things up once in a while, break away from the meta, and do your own thing. Have fun with it. And also a list that your opponent can kind of enjoy, because I run this against people and they're scratching their head like, Ackbar, Nebulons, what? And everybody has a great time. We laugh, we joke, I roll lots of dice, and hopefully crush them. All right, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and help make this channel possible. I'll talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Always call your mama. Let her know you love her. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.